Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings at Pikeville for the Coach Kelly Wells Show. We're talking U-Pike basketball right here at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. I'm Andrew Joyce, joined by the head coach of the University of Pikeville Bears men's team, currently 12th in the nation. A little bump in the rankings after 3 consecutive wins. Coach, first of all, Happy New Year to you and yours. Fresh off a trip to Florida, and Happy New Year's.
Well, Happy New Year to you as well as all our listeners and watchers, and we're thankful to be back home. I know that sounds kind of strange, but our trip to Miami was wonderful.
Sure.
But to get back home with family and friends is what it's all about, so we're thankful to be back to a little bit of a cooler environment, but had a great time away, but certainly glad to be home and get ready for another homestand.
A great time, a time that you used to build team chemistry and work a little basketball as well into a holiday break. Your thoughts on the trip to Florida on the court?
Well, I really think in all aspects it was a great trip for our guys. We took a long break, let the guys go home for Christmas. We did bring them home on Christmas Day, which we didn't really want to do, but we flew out on the 26th. So we had some practice time before we played on that Wednesday, and needed it. When we came back, we looked like we'd eaten a lot of turkey and ham and weren't in good shape. So we had to work hard on that and get them back where they needed to. But for me, I wanted them to get back home and be with family. It's the most important thing during the Christmas holidays. It's really the most important thing anyway. So for them to go home to have that experience was great. Wednesday we played Florida National, the home team, and we looked like we'd taken about 2.5 weeks off. We were very rusty. The basket was very small. Defensively we were a step slow. Our passes were late. Just really looked like a sluggish ball club, and we had a 9-point lead with 1:41 with the ball, and we had to hit a layup to win the game. So that tells you the mistakes we were making in that game. So all of those were correctable us mistakes that we've worked on hard, and we kind of got after them a little bit on Thursday and went to the beach for a little while and contemplated all the mistakes we had made. And Friday, man, we came out like a whirlwind. We were so focused. We were dialed in on the game plan. We were dialed in on business. And I think we got a little bit fat and happy on that Wednesday game. But certainly Friday, one of the best games we've played against a very, very good team in St. Mary's out of Kansas City. And you'll hear of them in the Division II national tournament as well. But very proud of our guys, the way they completed that trip overall. Had a chance to watch the Miami Heat and the OKC Thunder, and the guys enjoyed that part of it as well. And Russell Westbrook put on a show for us. We got to see that live and up front. And I think some of our guys got a little bit motivated by that to see all the things he can do on a basketball court's neat.
Absolutely. And, of course, 2 big wins in Florida. You work on that trip, team chemistry, and a chance for the guys to be around one another for an extended amount of time. And you're around those guys off the court a little more during those trips as well. You had thoughts about the trip and the type of young men that you have on the program. You were telling me before we went on the air. You're proud of this group.
I am, and I'm actually thankful to be able to work with these guys. I know we recruited them and we hustled to get them, and I'm thankful for the group we've put together. We didn't have one issue. The guys were on time when they were supposed to be on time. We treat them special, so we went out to eat quite a bit, and we went to the beach, we went to the Heat game, we did some things, and they responded awesome. They were great, very thankful. Most of them would thank you every time you would go eat. They were very respectful, and that's the kind of kids that we want to be around. They've met my expectation in that regard, and that's important. That's a big part of it.
Sharing those trips, sharing those experiences like an NBA game are the type of things that bring a team together. Do you expect that to translate onto the court?
Well, I sure hope so. And we've talked many times, other than your talent, your chemistry is probably the next most important thing you have. And our guys have always liked each other, but now we literally lived together. We ate together. We rode together. We were on the planes together. We had 2 guys that had never flown before. So them to get on the airplane was neat to see the guys kind of support one another and try to help them learn through experiences of why your ears are popping when you're on the plane and those kind of things. It was just neat to watch them be almost like brothers, and that's a neat part of it, and gave me a chance to kind of be really a true father away from home for them and kind of mentor them during that time.
Right. The last time the NAIA national rankings came out, you were 14th. 3 wins since that time. You're up to number 12. Your thoughts on the rankings?
Well, we put ourselves in a good position. We didn't start the conference the way we wanted to at 1 and 2, but certainly have overcome that with some great wins outside of conference. We've got 14 total wins. That's the most in all of NAIA, so we're thankful for that. And we've positioned ourselves right where we want to be. Now we've got to take care of business as we come down the stretch here in our last third of the season.
Very good. Tune-up game coming up Thursday, then back to conference play on Saturday. We'll talk about those games coming up. We have a couple of guests tonight. Richard Freeman and Marshall Bennett will join us, and we'll let you know how those guys talk about their teammates and their thoughts on you.
Oh, well, I'll sit over here with my wife and pray for a little while there.
Very good. Coach Kelly Wells, it is the Kelly Wells Show. We're talking U-Pike men's basketball live at Buffalo Wild Wings at Pikeville. You're invited to join us. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. It is the Coach Kelly Wells Show, where we talk University of Pikeville men's basketball. The Bears currently ranked 12th in the country, and we'll preview the start of the second half of the season when the coach returns in just a few moments. Right now, we'll step out and into the Bears Den, joined by a 6'6" senior out of Olympia Field, Illinois. Marshall Bennett joins us now. Welcome to the Coach Kelly Wells Show.
I'm glad to be here.
Happy New Year to you.
You too. Happy New Year.
And, of course, you spent part of the Christmas break in Florida. Before we talk about your background, let's hear about the trip. How was the trip?
Oh, the trip was a great learning experience. I loved it. It was my first time in Miami. It was real cultural, very different, very different. Yeah, it was a lot of different places, people around. It was real cool.
And, of course, you and your teammates got a chance to see an NBA game. Saw Russell Westbrook there.
Amazing. Amazing in person. Very, very good.
So he's as good as advertised.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Coach felt like this. Maybe some of the players got a little motivation from seeing Westbrook's performance.
Possibly. It was an exciting game, very hyped. So, I mean, I found some.
Very good. Let's talk about your basketball background. Let's talk about where you come from, how you arrived at U-Pike, and your playing days before arriving here.
Originally I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. So my birthplace, born and raised. My father was a basketball player. Grew up playing ball. Picked up a ball around the age of 2. I got videos of me literally dribbling the ball around 2 years old.
Yeah.
Found a love for it around probably, I want to say, about 8. That's when I really started to enjoy it.
Sure.
And so from then on, I just carry on.
Very good. Chicago, a hotbed for basketball
Oh,
talent.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
You imagine how you would see great talent every time you stepped onto the court.
Man, every day. Every day.
What's the high school basketball like in Chicago?
High school basketball is tough, relentless. There's no end to talent. You see it every day. It's
every time
something new every day. Yeah, something new. Somebody's making some type of fantastic play. So.
You started playing when you were 2, as a lot of basketball players do. They've got the plastic goal. They've got the small ball.
Exactly.
They're doing all that. But you fell in love with it at 8. What caused you to find a passion for basketball?
Around the age of 8, my father used to bring me to the gym a lot. I was little. He would sit me at the baseline in the cradle, and he'd be playing with his friends. And I want to say around the age of 8 is when I started to understand it and see him play more at an older age. And so at that age, I started to understand it myself. And so I feel like that's where the passion grew.
Sounds like your dad was a great influence in your basketball life.
Man, amazing. That's probably the best thing that happened to me besides my mother. My father was pretty much everything I am now. He paved the way for me and made me who I am now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Marshall Bennett, let's talk about Marshall Bennett, the student. Let's talk about your academic major. What's your major? What would you like to do in the future?
As far as basketball right now, my first goal is to go overseas and play professional. But when all is done and it's said, I want to play. I want to have my own skills and development program for children back at home in Chicago youth. So I just want to get the city together and get the violence that's going on at home, and just pull the problem out and get something going for all the children at home. Just make it safe.
Make a difference.
Yeah, make a difference.
Make a difference. So you plan on returning to the Chicago area. Got to ask, Mom and Dad, you've mentioned both. Dad, a great basketball influence. How often do they get to see you play?
They haven't gotten to see me a lot because in high school, I went prep school, and so it was I didn't stay home for high school. And so they got to see as much as they could. They made their drives as much as possible. They come see a few of my college games if they can. But when they do get a chance, they enjoy it.
And the difference between Chicago and Pikeville.
Man, what a difference. The cultural change. It's a cultural shock in a way. Yeah.
What's the greatest difference?
Well, see, they both have their own significance. I would say Chicago is a fast-paced city life, urban style, which is I'm a city boy, so. And when you get to Kentucky, the mountainous region it's real. It puts your mind at ease,
Life slows down.
Man, it slows down, but at the same time, it gives you like this sense of peace. So I enjoyed it. I enjoy both sides.
Many say that the small town life, country life, laid back life gives a student athlete a better chance to focus on
definitely.
their studies and their basketball.
Definitely. I feel like I noticed that my grades when I first started off in college were kind of like, average. And as I got into the areas where you see less and you have to do more, my grades started to increase a lot. Like, this was my first time really having a 3.0 GPA. And usually I get around 2.7s, 2.6s, but this is my first time where I really was able to lock in and to be who I can be.
Very good. Congratulations, and off to a nice start. 7 points per game, also 5 rebounds per game, but you're shooting 91% from the free throw stripe. What makes Marshall Bennett such a great free throw shooter?
I've always been an okay free throw shooter. What really made me, I feel like, enhance that aspect of my game, I feel, is Coach Wells. Coach Wells, he always tells me to dial in, always focus in, and to lock in. And I feel like after a while of hearing it so much, it finally beats in on you, and you finally just decide, like, let's do it. And I feel like that's what helped me increase.
Very good. Great start to the season, your senior season. We want to wish you the best of luck second half.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank
Marshall Bennett, a 6'6" senior out of Chicago, our guest on the Kelly Wells Show. We'll step out, and we'll be rejoined by another Bear next. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville. Happy birthday celebrations throughout Buffalo Wild Wings tonight, and we're celebrating the University of Pikeville Bears. It's the Kelly Wells Show, and the Bears currently ranked 12th in the country. We'll be rejoined by the coach momentarily. Right now we're in the Bears Den, joined by 6'9" senior Richard Freeman out of Indianapolis. Welcome to the Kelly Wells Show.
Thank you for having me.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year as well.
You spent part of the Christmas holiday after a quick trip home. You had a chance to do that, and then you and your teammates traveled to Miami to play some basketball.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that trip momentarily.
For a lot of the guys, the trip was kind of tough because we were away from home, but we were all together and we were a coaching staff, and so it was fun. It was fun, and we were in warm weather, so we enjoyed that, of course.
Absolutely. You and your teammates had a chance to see an NBA game while you were there. Russell Westbrook put on a show, as many of us would expect, but we understand he's better live and in person than what we see on the highlights.
Of course.
Talk about that experience. Coach looks at the Florida trips, the holiday trips that you guys get away. You play some basketball, but they look at that for team building, for chemistry building. Do you think that helps your team in those trips like that?
When you are in a totally different atmosphere with guys that you play ball with, you kind of see just different sides of them, and you get to like the person that they are instead of the basketball player that they are. And when we experienced going to the NBA game, we got to saw the preparation it takes for professionals to do what they do. And just as much as it influenced me to want to be better and to get to that level, hopefully it influenced our guys as well. And we played well while we were in Miami.
Sure. Absolutely. Coach said after a little bit of a rust-filled game to get things back on track, you played very well in the wrap-up there against St. Mary's. Richard Freeman, our guest, is 6'9" senior. Let's talk about the student, Richard Freeman. What's your major? What do you plan to do in the future?
I'm a business management major, and in the future I plan on pursuing an entrepreneurship role and creating my own business.
Very good. Do you have ideas for that?
Right now I actually have a lawn care business back home in Indianapolis with my cousin. So me and him, that's just a slow starter up. But I haven't really sat down and really thought about the big picture necessarily. So we'll see.
But you have watched Shark Tank.
Yes, that's a great show.
It's a great show, isn't it?
Great show.
It makes us all into wannabe entrepreneurs.
Yes, sir.
Richard Freeman, of course, 6'9" senior with this UPike team, 7 points per game, averaging about 4 rebounds per game. As you look at this team now heading into the second half, as opposed to off to a 14-win start in the first half, how will this team be different in the second half?
This team will be more crisp on the offensive end. A lot of guys were you kind of could say playing their rust off, getting into the system, and now a lot of guys know what they're doing. They know where to cut. They know what the plays are. And on the defensive end, we're locked in more. We run a 3 defense, and it's like a matchup zone, and everybody is starting to get more comfortable with that. So we should be playing a lot better than we did in the first half of the season.
Let's talk about your basketball background. Let's talk about when you first picked up the basketball, your earliest days of playing, and your high school days. Talk about that.
My high school days was honestly my first time touching the basketball. I was an avid football player.
There you go.
And I just had a 3-inch growth spurt, and so I was like, let me pick up this orange thing. And but my high school coach was great. My high school program was great. My junior year, we were ranked in the top 50 high school teams in the country, so that was a great experience for me to get exposed to how great the game of basketball can really be. So it was just a fun time for me.
Very good. Who was a basketball influence in your life?
Probably my father. My father was a great basketball influence in my life. He knows the ins and outs. He was lucky enough to get recruited into college, but plans didn't work out. So he's been through some adversities to help me out as well as I go through my journey.
What about when you and your dad play one-on-one?
he used to have me shoot. I remember this like it was yesterday when I was younger, and I was really focused on football. He used to tell me, "You're gonna get tall. You're gonna get taller," and I used to be like, "I want to play football." He used to have me outside 12 o'clock at midnight shooting 10 free throws. And I remember that like it was yesterday. So me and him, of course, we developed a great relationship because of the basketball and because of the sports, but it was definitely worth it now.
Have you guys played one-on-one lately?
Nah, his knees. His knees.
That's a good excuse that all of us dads use.
Of course, yeah.
Richard Freeman, we want to wish you best of luck during the second half and in your future.
I appreciate this
Thanks
so much.
for being with
Thank
us.
you.
Richard Freeman, 6'9" senior out of Indianapolis, our guest on the Coach Kelly Wells Show. We'll be rejoined by the head coach of your University of Pikeville Bears. Next, we're live from Buffalo Wild Wings. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings at Pikeville. It's the home of the Kelly Wells Show. Every Wednesday night at this time, you can join us as we talk U-Pike basketball. The U-Pike men's team currently ranked 12th in the country and number 1 in the nation in chasing wings at the moment.
You can tell the food has arrived. Yes, absolutely. They are feasting.
A fast break as the wings just arrived for the guys here at Buffalo Wild Wings. We've got a great crowd on hand, a celebratory nature here as the Bears celebrate a number 12 ranking in the country. Not where you want to be at the end of the season. We're looking for that number 1. But you have to like 14 wins in the first half, 12th in the country, and you've got a tune-up game coming up Thursday before heading into Mid-South Conference play.
Yeah, we need that. We need to come back home and have another home game and get used to our surroundings again and just get back in the routine of being at home. And conference games are brutal. They all are home or away. It's tough to win those, so we've got to get a good performance out of our guys on Thursday so we can get some of that momentum going. And the worst thing you could do is play bad and then just have some of that carryover coming to Saturday. And played a great game Friday against St. Mary's, so we want to carry that momentum and that mojo into our game on Thursday and then hopefully through Saturday and all the way down the stretch.
Thursday, of course, 7 p.m. tip-off at the Expo Center. We want to invite people to be there. And then Saturday, typical Mid-South Conference doubleheader, the women at 2, the guys at 4, and Campbellsville in town. What do you expect to see out of the Tigers?
They're very good. Of course, they're under a new coach. Keith Atkins went to Life. Now Coach Vernon is there. And just a great family tradition, the Vernons in the Mid-South Conference. And they do a great job. New team, a lot of new players on the roster.
Yeah.
I think they're 9-5 currently. And he's doing a great job with them. They just got to figure each other out. A lot of new faces, new coaches. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do. And you got so many ideas when your first year of coaching that you want to put in. He's still trying to figure out exactly what he wants to be, what he wants to do. And
sure.
He's going to get it. He's got great bloodlines. And certainly it'll be a great contest for us and the women. This is a huge game for them as far as the rankings go as well in the conference. So 2 great games, both top 25 matchups. And we'd love to have as many people come out that they can get there.
And we expect a big crowd Saturday because of a lot of high school basketball going on. The 15th Region All-A Tournament, 2 games Saturday morning. Folks will already be in town. Stick around, check out the women and the men at 2 and 4, or the late games at the Expo following the college games. Of course, they could come early and check those out. Should be 2 great games. Coach Kelly Wells, the second half, you've got some changes, additions to the roster. You've seen that. You've seen how that will start to blend. What do you expect out of this team differently in the second half than we saw in the first?
Well, you can just kind of see it on our guys in practice, and in the last two games, we just have a little different confidence about us. You know, with Clint Wasu coming in, transfer from Idaho State, he's a big-time shooter, big-time scorer. You can just see the guys around him just knowing that he's there gives them more confidence. I can't really put my fingers on exactly why that is, but he can get a basket at any time, and I think that reassures our guys. And they were looking kind of for someone to take the leadership role as far as who gets the ball when we need it. We need a basket, and it's really like some of our guys, like Jordan Perry is playing like lights out. He's unbelievable right now. He is really starting to figure it out and turn into the player that we thought he could be. And you know, all of our guards, R.J. Colbert, Trey Rakes, are now freer to get the ball to their go-tos and also be confident scoring it. I've just been really pleased. Darian Leslie and Antoine Baker are both really starting to blossom as well, and you can just see it on their face when you speak to them or we're in practice, just everything they're doing. I just think there's a new confidence on our team, and we survived defensively. We were very, very good in the first semester. We got to carry that on, but I think our offense is going to catch up to our defense now.
Sure. And they say many times that the game slows down for someone who's moving to the next level. Is that what's happened with Perry, and is that what's happened with this team as a whole? Things have slowed down. It's become slower and easier for them.
I think so, and I think some of that comes with time, and that's the only way to do it. You can't really just force experience on people, and I just see a lot of light bulbs going off. The terminology now is not foreign to them. Yeah. The where to be in certain plays, how to break certain plays off and get what you need out of them, how to help one another defensively, our schemes. You know what? We may have underestimated having 7 new faces out there that playing a considerable amount of minutes really affects you, and just even the littlest of words that you say in a timeout, if you talk about bumping a screener, you know, that's a different term for every single one of them. So it just takes some time to get through that, but I've been very proud of the direction we're heading.
Heading into the second half, the meat of the Mid-South Conference schedule. Coach Kelly Wells, you sound like you've got a little confidence heading in as well.
Well, I don't like confidence. I never have. So we don't want our team to do that either. And they're going to be a reflection of their coach. And we're going to keep pushing them, and we're going to try to take them where they won't take themselves. And they've been positive, had great attitudes, and been very coachable. So hopefully that'll turn into some good wins down the stretch.
We're looking forward to it. And, of course, Simmons Thursday night at the Expo Center, 7 p.m., 2 o'clock for the U-Pike women. Saturday, the men at 4. Best of luck as we begin the second part of the Mid-South schedule against Campbellsville.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to all those folks that are viewing and listening, and certainly can't wait to see you at the game.
Coach Kelly Wells, you've been tuned to the Kelly Wells Show live from Buffalo Wild Wings. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. Good evening, everyone.